Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Season 7 Duo Esports Team Showcase. Here we're going to be giving all the teams from both our Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series and GPCS a roster reveal of the sorts, going over their players, history, if any, and expectations from my panel list of experts in the Duo Esports community. Some teams that have also recently actively participated in our league will be receiving some footage for us to go over as well. However, this is not the case for all teams, as we've been overflooded with applicants and therefore teams this season. So if your team does not have footage, then they very likely are brand new to our league. We're going to be doing the Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series first, and then the Gold, Platinum competitive series. Now with that out of the way, let's introduce the two guests alongside myself. They'll be going over the teams. First up, we got captain of our two-time in a row GPCS champions and owner of our single most successful organization to play in our league, Pawn Sacrifice Blacks, sheer fucking well.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing, my man? Ready to
I'm doing fantastic. I can't wait to review, especially the IBSG League. Been a lot of preparation for these ones, so I'm excited.
All right, awesome. We did not have our Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series last season, so it's making a strong return in this one. And second up, we have top 3 all-stats and all-star caliber support from last season on Solar Phoenix. It's Pablo553, yeah?
Hello, everyone.
All right, ready to review some teams?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, let's go.
All right, yep, so let's go from A to Z once again. We have our first team right off the bat. It is AETHER Esports Academy as the first team on our lineup right here. AETHER Esports have participated in 4 out of Duo's 7 seasons, all with very rocky results at the start of the season. In their first season of play in Season 2, they failed to qualify for playoffs, and at the beginning of Season 3, they had a 1-6 record. They got their stuff together, though, in the second half, making a home run for playoffs out of the blue, and even finishing 3rd place overall by the end of it. Last season, they also played and qualified for playoffs after a rough road at the start and nearly made a massive upset in the quarterfinals, losing 1-2 to Pawn Sacrifice White, the top team in the last season's GPCS Dragon division right now. Let's start off with you, Sheeran. You know, you've been here for a couple of seasons. AETHER Esports returned to the Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series. What do you think of them?
I'm actually really glad they come back, especially Fridge. Fridge, a long time, I think, the oldest player in this league. Am I right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, has played in every single season of Duo Esports.
Yes, that's what I meant by old. He's been solid. He's pretty much the bar of like top lane. Like if you're able to beat Fridge, you're a good top laner. If you cannot, then you're shit. That's basically how I see Fridge. A lot of respect for him. He was playing mid last season and he did really well. So I'm kind of surprised he went back to top lane into a lower caliber league in the IBSG. But I'm excited to see what he does. But of course, he's not alone. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Let's take a look at that roster here through AETHER Esports Academy. We got Fridge in the top lane, Sivian in the jungle, TDBB in the mid lane, Iwa in the bot lane here, and AE Tiger KG on support. Pablo, what do you make of this roster?
All right, so I was checking out this roster, looking at their ranks. Obviously, we only know things on paper. The only thing I know about is Fridge from last season. Now, Fridge did play in the GPCS last season, so I mean, comparatively, this should be a little easier for him. I didn't think he was that bad. As Sheer said, he's kind of like the bar that we set, right? That being said, they do have some interesting champion pools. Iwa is a very good Ezreal player, it seems, and he also plays Jhin. I think those two champions are very prevalent, not necessarily top tier right now, but definitely prevalent in the meta. And then T is also playing champions like Diana and Zoe. I think this team has what it takes to do well. However, just from their on paper rankings, I think they're going to be a middle of the pack team, unfortunately. I think they can do something. I don't think it's going to be much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the players I'm worried about is Sivian not being a jungle player, well, at least for as far as OPG can tell us, and Tiger being a fill player. The mid laner though has an interest pool for especially for a gold league. It will be fine, but I'm worried about maybe a best of 3 format in playoffs. Will he be exposed or will he thrive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I look at AETHER Esports, and I look at the IBSG League as a whole this season. Normally, I would follow suit, and I'd say, AETHER Esports are going to have it pretty tough like they do at the start of every season. But honestly, I think IBSG might be a little weak this season, so I do agree with Pablo on this, in fact. I think they're going to be a middle-of-the-pack team. It's a fair assessment of where they could place.
I think it's pretty fair. I mean, and any team in IBSG is has potential to surprise us. So
Oh yeah, 100%.
this is just some people talking. Anyways,
Yes,
But-
indeed.
talking about it, like we think they're middle of the pack. So what is the other teams looking like?
Yes, let's take a look at that. Next on the list, we have another returning organization as Divine Ascension make their return to Duo Esports Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series. DAG playing Season 5 of Duo Esports and hung in the balance with the rest of the competition for the majority of the season and nearly made playoffs before notoriously losing to Fight Club in that other organization's first ever competitive win in our league. And Divine Ascension finished in 7th place when they needed to qualify with top 6. Now looking to redeem themselves in the IBSG League once more. How will they fare this time around? Again, let's go to you, Sheer.
I think they will barely get into playoff, but they could also clinch a third seed. I feel. How can I say that? So let's go from top to bottom.
Indeed. We got Thunderous Snake in the top lane, Divine XZ, formerly SRC Divine from last season in the jungle, Void Alive in the mid lane, our everyone's favorite returning Vel'Koz One Trick, Lexar, FB818, formerly SRC Lexar in the bottom lane, and Rammus is too good on support.
So the returning player that I know about the most is Void Alive and Divine. They both play respectively in Season 5 and Season 6. I think Lexar is also a returning player. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right. So looking at the just basing my opinion on the OPGGs and what I know about those players, top lane seems a bit shaky. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to keep up. The pick in the pool from the jungler. It could work in gold elo, but I'm worried about a better team exposing him. Void Alive is really, really terrifying on his comfort picks, which is GLACIAL and Vel'Koz. But once those are banned, he's just I'm not sure he will be able to carry the game.
Definitely.
The interesting part of this draft, of this team, and I think Pablo's going to agree with me, is that the ADC is an AP Mage bot player. You can either play ADCs or AP Mage bots, and this could be a tremendous flex opportunity for this team and actually surprise some people. What do you think,
Yeah,
Pablo?
Absolutely.
Just to kind of go off a little bit what you were saying, this team has a lot of strange champion pools. They play a lot of different stuff than that their roles really say. That being said, I think Void Alive is really going to be like the keystone piece of this team as their mid laner and captain. I definitely think he's probably their shot caller, and he's probably the one mostly running the game. I know that Divine Ascension has a plat team that's in the GPCS, so I'm assuming that they have decent mentorship. So I think this team's decent, but just because their champion pools don't really line up with the roles that they're playing, I think they're going to be not top tier. I think they're going to be upper middle of the pack, like Sheer said. I think they're just going to get into playoffs. That being said, if they're getting good coaching and good teaching, I think they could do very well in this league.
Interesting. I mean, you say that they're barely going to make it into playoffs, and then you say they're almost top tier. I think pick one of the two here, but
No, I said I think they will barely make it. Maybe third seed at most.
Okay.
They have the potential to go there, but I think they will just barely make it.
I mean, I think this will actually be a team that does fairly well. One of the biggest, personal evaluators that I'm going through those players and teams is Synergy, and I know that we've had Divine playing the league a lot, Lexar playing the league a lot, Void Lives, no stranger to how things go down here. So I actually think that even if it's just 3 players, I mean, believe Thunderous Snake and Rammus is too good are brand new players to our league, but I do think that just those 3 players and the synergy that they should have with each other should translate to some decent level of success for Divine Ascension Gold.
I agree.
But yeah, and also as Pablo said, they have a mentor org in Divine Ascension Platinum, another team we're going to get to later on in the showcase. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do. But let's move on to our next team, shall we? Next, unless we have another returning organization. We're not returning. Another organization coming in here with the GLACIAL Esports Academy. They're getting us ready for the first of many brand new teams to be playing in Duo Esports this season. Coming from an org, 1 to 2 familiar faces. How will GEA do in our Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold League. It's another organization.
Yes, quite indeed. Returning faces is, I believe, I'm Wicked and Bombay. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Right. So in the top lane we have TSM Legend, I'm Wicked in the jungle, Soleus, sorry if I cannot pronounce it well, in the mid lane, Bombay in the ADC, and Kitty Lexa in the support.
Definitely.
What do you have, Pablo?
Okay. First thing I noticed when I looked at this team, 1, all gold 4. Solid lineup. They're going to do fine in IBSG league, I think. Until I started looking at their champion pools. TSM Legend is a Jodway incarnate. Yorick one trick, 253 games in solo queue. I commend this man for his mental fortitude.
you kind of fucking spoiled my line, man. On my notes, I said TSM Legend looks like a discount Jodway. Hopefully, he didn't skim on the skills.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed. That being said, Wicked plays some solid junglers. I think his Jarvan's going to be very scary. And Soleus has Akali, so hopefully he has that assassin playstyle that we're looking to snowball in these IBSG games. I'm really topsy-turvy, indecisive on how I think this team's going to do, because it is an all-gold lineup. But I'm not too sure how their champion pools are going to be affected in a competitive format. If they want to just solo queue these games out, I think they might do fine. But I was hesitant, so I put them middle of the pack, a little lower. Maybe after I see a game or two, I'll probably wildly change this decision. This was a hard team to pinpoint, I think.
Well, I was lucky enough to see them scrim one game yesterday.
Okay.
They won. Just no spoilers here, but they won. The jungler has a decent pull. Like when I look at his OPGG, but I was a bit worried about his Lee Sin. Usually, Lee Sin is not a champion. Well, he's not an easy champion to play, and gold and below are usually not performing on it. So I was worried about it, and he did end up playing Lee Sin in that scrim. His mechanics are not there yet. Like I saw him do a flash kick instead of a kick flash. But I mean, that's just small. That's just small things as at least in main, you know. I got worried there. The mid laner has barely an exist. We have no information on what he plays in mid lane. This pool is non-existent. The ADC is kind of the same. The support has really good numbers, a good pull. And I feel my opinion about the support is I think he or she will be the star of that team. But I'm worried that that person will be the only one. The only star.
I mean, I've looked at IBSG as a whole this season, and I think this might be a bottom-end team that we have right here. I mean, we do know that I'm Wicked is returning, and so is Bombay. But at least from my recollection, when those two players played, they weren't exactly, star or really standout players. They weren't bad, don't get me wrong, but they weren't, exceptionally, above the rest of the pack, right? And we don't know the other face. We don't know Souls. We know TSM Legend. We don't know Kitty Lexa, right? So I think, given IBSG this season, this is a team that, as you said earlier, might just barely be scraping into playoffs, but I don't expect them to be topping the league for very long.
I mean, the only way I would see them actually succeed is if I'm Wicked and TSM Legend can just make these games win through top, because that's what my understanding is of IBSG is that a lot of games are won through top lane.
I pray for the teams that let York get through here, and I would love to watch that game.
I agree, but even if your mid laner and ADC is shaky, a lot of games will just be won by top. So maybe it doesn't matter. We'll see.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to see how GLACIAL Esports Academy go through. They do have a higher level team in the GPCS, so again, maybe some mentoring, maybe some additional coaching through the GPCS team could help them out. But regardless, we're going to get to our next team on the list right now. They're repping a hot pink and a hot light green to combo it with KG, 2 pores, 1 snack. They have one hell of a name and logo, but will their performance in IBSG be just as wild, or will KGP just be a snack for everyone else? Let's start it off this time with you, Pablo.
Okay, so one of my hot takes between all of these teams that I think this team's going to perform very well this season. Looking at their lineup, all golds, but in difference to Glacial Inferno, there are high golds on this team. We have 2 gold 1s and a gold 2. looking at their champion pools, I was actually very impressed by some of the things they play. We have a Taric main in Skinny Man. That actually makes me think that this person's actually a really decent support, and I think Skinny Man's going to shine in this league. If he can play Taric that well, he could probably play other champions pretty well. Taric is one of those champions that has a definitely strange playstyle, but I think if you can play Taric well, you could play pretty much any support well. Looking at what else they have, One Cool Duck, a Yasuo player. Like, a Gold 1 Yasuo player wouldn't really do much in a GPCS league, right? However, in an IBSG league, I feel like a Gold 1 Yasuo can do something pretty well. But that being said, I think this team, just from stats and just from on paper, just from what they play, their KDAs, I think this team's going to be top tier, first or second seed. That's my prediction.
Let's take a look at that roster right there for KGP. Right now, we got Namas 3 in the top lane, Bird at 20 in the jungle, Yellow Fever 3 in the mid lane, Carrot Muffin in the bot lane, and Skinny Man on support right now. Yeah, I kind of second that. I do think KGP are going to do very well. I don't think slight rank differences mean anything in IBSG. I think it is completely within reason for, say, a Silver 4 to suddenly just absolutely hard smash, say, a Gold 4 in lane. I don't think a rank difference that much means too much, but I think at least in IBSG, your high golds are kind of expected to perform, and this is, you know, a team with nothing but high golds, right? So I think KGP are going to do very good. What about you, Sheer?
Well, when I was going through their OPGGs, right, when I came to Namas 3, the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh, finally a top laner that is not Fridge. Unfortunately, his numbers are not really high. For the jungle, though, he has a really fun pool. They're not meta picks, but they could surprise people by not be like they're not used to play against these type of picks. But I'm just worried about best of threes. Something about this team that I've noticed is that their mid player is a support type player, so he'll play like Karma mids and other similar picks. So I'm feeling that this team will win with one very basic strategy, and that usually works, is protect the ADC. They will live and die by that one. And honestly, I feel like, especially in a goal and below league, this will actually have a lot of success in the season. In playoffs, though, people usually adapt and they actually target ban better. So we'll see if they can actually adapt to that and maybe have a second strategy and surprise me, first of all. But yeah, actually, I do agree that this will be at least a top 3 team. Fort if they slip a bit, but no, I think this is going to be a top 3.
Absolutely, yeah. KGP, I mean, just they have a very solid-looking roster, and I think that at least as far as showcases go, right? I mean, a solid-looking roster is really all you could ask for, right? Let's move on to our next team, though. We're finally getting to a very, very familiar face and returning organization. Coming in hot right now, it is going to be Pawn Sacrifice Blue. After dominating the GPCS for 2 seasons in a row, owner of Duo Esports, connoisseur, sheer fucking will, now sets his sights on the unclaimed IBSG League, where he left off with unfinished business after a semi-final upset. Our PS Blue roster also has players we've seen before from the dominant Dragon Division #1 team from start to finish last season in Rift Dragons, having their 80 carry jungler and now mid laner gone support. Will PS Blue have the same rep as PS Black in the Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold League? That's the question in everyone's mind. And who better to start us off with than you, Sheer?
Returning GPCS players, notably the Rift Dragon org, with Okina, Nozomi, and Corny and Darkwinds. So they had a lot of success, obviously, in the last season, scoring number 2 seed in the Dragon Division, right under Pawn Sacrifice Black. So now that they are in a technically lower bracket, right, in the Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold, they should do well. So I'll let you present my players here.
Absolutely. We've got top lane, codename Wally, jungle, I have Paint, formerly something Corny, Rift Dragon's jungler, Lone Win in the mid lane, Ice Nord Crayons, formerly Okina Nozomi, AD carry coming in hot for Rift Dragons, and I Sniff Glue, formerly Dark Wenser, mid laner for Rift Dragons. So the returning players that we know have changed their names. Take it as you will, but that's Pawn Sacrifice Below.
Go ahead, Pablo, if you have some
All right.
interesting
On
comments.
Sacrifice Blue. So we have 3 players from, mind you, the best team, pretty much, contention with Pawn Sacrifice White last season in the Dragon Division of GPCS. This is a very clear distinction. This was a Gold Plat League, and now they're playing in the Iron Bronze Silver Gold League. I have very high expectations from these 3 players, Paint, Crayons, and Glue. I expect them to absolutely dominate in their lanes this season, and I very expect this team to be top tier. That being said, I can see the weakness, and I have no idea what Wally and Win do. Hopefully they fit well into this team. I really want to see maybe some new picks from Paint and Crayons, because as we know, his name was Okina Crayons last season. Very good Varus player. I think Varus is kind of falling out of meta now, and Paint was a very good Trundle player. I think Trundle's falling out of meta, but he does play Gragas. I'm not too sure of how much is that fitting right now, but
you did him dirty.
I will just say that I want to see these guys succeed, but I think they should maybe steer away from the picks that got them success in GPCS. Because if they fall stuck on that, then I don't know how this team's going to do.
So let me interject a bit.
Top team, in my opinion.
Lone Win here, it was a really strong mid laner back in Season 5. Probably top 3 with Dokushi and someone that shall not be named.
Yes.
And I feel like he might do well in this team. He's a newcomer, so we'll see. Codename is also someone fairly new, so we don't know much about him. But the other 3 I've been playing a lot, over a year together, I feel. So I'm fairly confident with their synergy. However, we did saw a preseason game against the other sister team, and it did not go well for them. So that got me really worried. And that's why, Pablo's saying top tier team, I'm saying middle of the pack.
I think I'm also going to follow suit and say middle of the pack here. I mean, they did lose to our next team in line, but we're going to assume is probably top tier, I'd imagine. And I think there's a lot of players that have played in the league, right? You have Lone Wind also, who I think is getting brushed over a little bit right now. He played in Season 5, top 3 mid laner in that season, and a fairly competitive IBSG mid pool for what it was. I think this team is going to do well, but I don't imagine, 2 weeks down the line, we're going to be seeing Pawn Sacrifice Blue number 1, the clear number 1 in IBSG. I think they're going to struggle a little bit and then make their way to the top.
If they do, I'd be gladly surprised.
I believe in them. I think they have what it takes. But yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Fair enough, but I want they will have to face their number 1 rivals that is coming next, I believe.
Yes, indeed. So let us get to the rivals then, shall we? It's once again, we're joining our familiar faces and we're joining organizers for teams. It's the Pawn Sacrifice Red. We got Blue, we got Red, we got the Power Rangers. And again, after dominating GPCS for 2 seasons in a row, our Esports connoisseur, sheer fucking will, set to sights on the unclaimed IBSG with not 1, but 2 teams. Skamaz all along. Our PS Red roster also has the montage man himself, Roki Doki 36, making his otherworldly return to Duo Esports in the most fitting 2020-esque, that's unbelievable manner. Will PSR and Roki Doki put up highlight reels, or will PS Red just have death montages by the end of the season? Let's start it off with you, Shier.
You're seeing the lineup. You know a couple of them returning veterans of Duo, let's say. Just tell me, what do you think about this lineup right now?
Well, let's look at the lineup first, then, shall we? We got Roki Doki 36 in the top lane, Titan Duff in the jungle, Spike 29 in the mid lane, Skylancer in the bot lane, and Lightning on support. I think this is a pretty fire IBSG roster, not gonna lie.
Very fire. Skylancer, Skylancer played in the GPCS, same with Spike last season. And Spike was literally carrying Fight Club on his shoulders for the couple of the last games. Skylancer came in late in the season with his team, taking a 0-7 record from a fallen roster, let's say, and did pretty well. Actually, ended up in the top 3 all stat stars, the top all stat, something like that. Yeah. Yes. And so he had great numbers, regardless of his losing record. So that's going to be... I'm really hopeful, especially for an IBSG team.
Yeah, definitely. Pablo, how do you feel about this team?
Yeah, this is probably the other like top team. I'm thinking one or two. I think KG and this team are going to be fighting for their #1 spot. Spike and Skylancer, both in GPCS. While they weren't on good teams necessarily with Fight Club and Team Phoenix Rising, I think they were probably their best players. I
Well,
really
for TPR, just real quick, I think Virgin was really good as well. But
sure.
go on.
I think these two players, especially in the mid and AD carry role, are going to be the focal points of this team. Basically, it seems like from the games that we've seen, Roki likes just kind of be on an island on himself top, while they play around the objective dragon a lot. I haven't seen a lot from Lightning. Again, I have a little bit more information on this team because we saw their showcase match in the Civil War between Red and Blue. I definitely think this team has what it takes to top the standings. I wouldn't say undefeated, but definitely top the standings in IBSG.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hype him too much, but from what I've seen, Roki Doki, he's been in our org for a while, for around more than 6 months now. And from what I could have seen from him, he's getting there. He's slowly but surely going to be a player similar to an Amazing Time, Ali.
Oh, it's definitely quite the stretch. You're comparing Roki Doki to arguably our best GPCS top laner last season, so that's quite a stretch. I guess you have high hopes for the player. It makes sense. I mean, the last I saw of Roki Doki, he was absolutely running it down, making death montages for himself. I hope as a player he progressed, and that he is now better and more prepared for IBSG League, but only time will tell. I'm more interested in the rest of the roster, frankly. Spike 2929, very solid mid laner, not just for his Fight Club, Cinderella story that he almost pulled off last season. Spike in general has been a player that's played in, I think, most of our seasons, and he's shown, very solid mid lane performances in every single one of them, frankly. I think he's going to do very well. And Skylancer as well, right? You brought up TPR, Team Phoenix Rising from last season. He actually did pretty good in his games, despite his negative record that he inherited. I believe 0-8 or 0-9. He inherited a very bad record at the start of the season, but still performed very well. So I think that we're going to have very high hopes for this team.
Just to go. Sorry, I'll just end up for the. You mentioned the Roki Doki montage. He's really humble about it. Pawn Sacrifice is the org responsible for that montage, and he's still with us. So that just gives you an idea of how he made peace with it.
Fair.
So this just going on for the season, I really think Spike is going to have a really good season. I think he's going to pop off this season and probably be one of the best mid laners. Another hot take that I'll probably say is I think Skylancer and Lightning are the best bot lane in all of IBSG. And I think they'll probably be the all-stars of this split.
Titan and Lightning are probably the newcomers to the to a duo esports season, so it will be interesting to see how they fare.
Indeed, I will be for sure. So we'll see how Ponticus Red will do. We expect very good things of them, but let's go to our next team on the list right now, shall we?
I expect them to be number one. Call me biased, but I expect them to be number one.
Probably biased. I kind of too. I'll give you that. But regardless, let's go to our next team on the list right now as we return to the unknown and fresh faces of Season 7's Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series. We got Rift Warriors ARKNIGHTS. As we've gone through some teams that we know about, how about one that we don't know anything about? Rift Warriors ARKNIGHTS coming in hot first season in Duo Esports.
Rift Warriors ARKNIGHT. Really don't know much about those. All I had was the OPGGs, so let's go from top to bottom. Mr. Vitus in the top lane, Big B Wuda. Oh boy.
Oh no. I'll pick it up for you. Big Wuda in the jungle, Curve Me in the mid lane, Unknown 3-4-2-5 in the bot lane, and Saint Malay in the support position right now. Shira, tell me your expectations for this team.
So this team is going to be the opposite of what I believe usually wins a game in the IBSG, which is usually through top jungle. This top jungle looks really, really, really weak. On the other hand, the mid ADC and support are probably top tier here, but that's where I'm getting worried because you know the saying in solo queue, jungle gap. Well, I feel like this is going to be a big gap to the other team.
So the team gap we're expecting right here for RWA right now. Pablo, do you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, Big Buddha is he's starting jungler for ARKNIGHTS, but he has 100 games on Anivia and solo queue. I don't know if he's just playing on a different account in jungle, but it doesn't seem like jungle's his forte. It seems like spamming our mids his forte. That being said, I don't want to discount his jungle abilities. I gotta agree with Sheer though. Bot lane definitely looks like their strongest side. We have a Jhin main and a Swain main. I really think if they get Jhin Swain, they could carry a lane and a game. Curve Me is also a Katarina player. Don't give the Katarina player Katarina, especially in IBSG League. It doesn't matter if they're silver gold. Don't give it to him. But if we see Curve Me on it, I expect him to carry. I think you can easily draft around this team. I think you can easily ban them out. So I don't want to say that they're going to be a good team this season, but they could surprise me. I'm going to say lower middle of the pack, though, for this team.
I'd say like the success of this team will depend on how small brain the other teams are in the draft phase, because we do have experience of a very dominant Vladimir player, and everybody in the league and their mothers knew banned Vladimir, and for some reason it was still not banned.
Yes,
so that Katarina could go through. Anivia jungle could go through. You don't know. Maybe it's the next meta. And,
I'm a lot more worried about the Katarina than the Anivia jungle, but I do agree. For whatever reason, mainly in IBSG, not too much in GP. GP teams seem to have it figured out, but the whole ban the one trick strat isn't really a thing in IBSG. It's left open. Maybe we can counter pick it. Maybe we let it through. Maybe he's not that good. No, just ban it.
Yeah, it's usually Katarina is a dog shit champ. We should not ban it. And then when they get rolled, Katarina is OP. Why didn't we not ban it?
Yeah, so we'll have to see how it goes. But I agree with the rest of the group. I think now that we've actually gone through most of our IBSG teams, I think this will be a bottom end team. We expect PSR, PS Blue, KGP, Divine Ascension Gold to do well. That's kind of, at least in my mind, a top 4-esque, right? Teams right there. So by nature, right, I think this is one of your lower end teams.
Lower end. I think they'll barely not make it. Like, they'll just be 7th. Cry for days. The good thing I'm interested about is the support playing very unorthodox champions. Like, they're not standard supports. Some are not. But this could be like a kill lane, a surprise kill lane, or I don't know, something. I just want to see them play now.
You want to see them stuff. Once us get into IBSG, I fully respect it. We have games for IBSG later tonight, so make sure to tune to those. But let us get to our next Iron Bronze Super Gold Competitive Series team. Crawling back onto the train of brand new teams is Ergatum. With a killer name, will URG have just as killer of a performance, or the rest of the competition have the better of this IBSG crustacean? Let's start with you, Pablo, this time around.
All right, so Ergatum. Probably my favorite name. Definitely number one in terms of name, but in terms of their OPs, I'm not too sure how this team's gonna do. I really don't like most of their champion pools. Gold 4 team pretty much. I don't know. They didn't impress me with their stat lineup. Win rates don't look that great either. Sorry, not win rates. The KDAs didn't look that great. This team's hard to put a finger on in terms of like how exactly they're going to do in a 5 setting, because if they're not having too much success in solo queue, I don't really know how that's going to fare. Definitely my favorite name though. I don't think this team's going to be that great though.
So let's look at the roster first though. We got Inferno Ninja 2000 in the top lane, Biscotti 1 in the jungle, Kaguyasuo in the mid lane, John Morrisier in the bot lane, and Dark Factor 19 on support.
So the interesting thing about this team here is that anyone that will find out by themselves when scouting them is they barely play the game in solo queue. They have some seasons gone without a single game, but they do play a lot, and I say a lot, of flex queue together. Yes. So this is where my I have to go off course, think outside the box. This team is playing a lot of flex queue, and they seem to be successful together. The mid laner has really high KDAs. So for this reason, this is my hot take. This team is going to be top 2.
Top 2. That's a very hot
Really?
take, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because of
Okay.
this big unknown. Like they're they're not playing the game like the others are. They're playing their own way
Playing their
and
own game.
flex. And if they don't want to play, they don't play. That's why you can see them without a single game in season 9, for example.
I mean, I agree. I think again, one of the biggest things for me that I look over is synergy. And no, this is not a team we've had before in the league. But if they're all spamming flex queue with each other, I'd hope their synergy is, at least decent enough to apply for a league and maybe even do well in it. So I actually think Argonum. I don't know about top 2. I'm not going to go that far. I think that's spots reserved for KGP, PSR, maybe PS Blue and Divine Ascension, right? But I do actually think this team is. I 100% think this team's making playoffs. I think 4th seed highest. I feel that's my take on this team.
Really?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Losing a
All right.
4th seed by the end of it. How do you feel about that, Pablo?
I guess I just look at unknowns completely different when I said that I put this team last place in this league. I put them at the
Okay.
very bottom. Here's why. Their top laner plays Teemo, their AD carry plays Aphelios. What are those champions gonna do? Their mid laner, who is a carry role, is bronze 4 with a 57% win rate. Yes, he has good KDAs, but it's still a bronze 4 player. I mean, if you had a 57% win rate in bronze 4, I would hope you're good at bronze, but this is silver gold we're talking here, right? Like, how is he going to fare up against some of the gold 2, gold 1 mid laners?
You have to take things into context. Yes, he's bronze 1 in solo queue, but he played 20 games. Like I would also be bronze 1 if my account only had 20 games. So yeah, but he has a lot of games in flex queue. That's why he's allowed in this league. So
fair.
I guess we just look at unknowns differently. That's fair. I put this team last. I want them to surprise me though, because I like their name.
Okay. Well, let's actually look at our last team on the list right here, shall we? We have Zero Risk as the final team in the Iron Bronze Silver Gold competitive series. Zero Risk did play in the exhibition match, but a little unfairly against one of our GPS's teams in Dove Thunder with unexpected, or rather expectedly, subpar results. Zero Risk were obliterated by presumably one of the top GPCS teams. Are Zero Risk at risk in the IBSG and have DAW flashbacks, or will ZR take the risks needed to succeed in the IBSG League?
I have to correct you here. This is not our last team in the IBSG.
Well, we'll get to our last one very quickly. Let's go through Zero Risk first right now. We got Lord Zarek in the top lane, Potato Fist 101 in the jungle, Dex Lol in the mid lane, KTN in the bot lane, and Scrambles on support. Since you oh so kindly opened up for us here, how about you go first?
Alright, so Zero Risk. We did see them in the preseason with, well, I'll say unfortunately, but fighting a GPCS team in DOV Thunder, and they got, how can I say it kindly, Clobber Stomp. Well, you kind of expect this from a gold plat versus a silver gold. But Zero Risk, what do I see when I look at their data? Let's say top lane for me looks really coin flippy. It's the least I will say about it. The jungler does look fine. He seems to adapt a lot to the meta. He plays the right picks. For me, this player will be Potato Fist 101 will be the player to watch in this team, and probably in the league. Actually, he might just he could be the reason this team loses. While at the same time, he could be the reason why this team is carrying, why this team is successful. Mid lane we have really low data. He was a Warwick one trick going into a Veigar Annie player. So take it as you will. What do you think about the bot lane, Pablo? Did we lose Pablo?
We might have lost our Pablo right now. I
apologize. I am back.
Okay.
I didn't want feedback on my mic to get through. Anyway, so I actually like their bot lane. I think KTN is going to be the carry player on this team. He's playing champions like Lucian, Vayne, Kai'Sa, Ezreal. I think those are 4 very, very good champions to enable him to carry in IBSG games. Scrambles, however, is probably the only worry of this lane is that he doesn't play support.
Yeah, he seems like he was scrambled as a support,
At all. But that being said, some of the champions that he has are kind of like these go-any champions. I really want to see maybe the set support coming out from him. I think if teams let him get these tanky engaged supports, Scrambles is going to play well. In terms of like who I think is gonna also perform very well, I think Potato Fist, their jungler, is probably gonna be the one who sets the pace for this team. I don't really see their solo lanes doing too much, and I see them getting picked apart pretty well. Dex is a Yasuo one trick, Yasuo Kali one trick, mind you. So I mean, you just take that away from him. It doesn't look like he could play really anything else. He's been spamming Riven and Fiora, so I mean, maybe mid lane's just not his pool. Maybe he's gonna pull out the Orianna and play super traditional, but I don't know. I don't see Zero Risk performing well unless their bot lane performs well. And if Scrambles isn't even maining support, I don't know how this team's gonna go.
That's a fair point. I mean, this team got obliterated by Dove in their showcase match, but they played a GPCS team. I think that's the biggest saving grace for them, and expectedly, right? A GPCS team should always beat an IBSG team, and Zero Risk, as a result, kind of had an unlucky showing. We'll call it that. I don't think the team is going to do bad, but I look at the rest of IBSG, and we kind of already have, our playoff teams lined up, so I could see them making the push for top 6, right? But I think they're going to be hovering around the bottom.
Agree.
I agree as well. But like I said, it's going to be jungle diff.
Going to be a jungle diff, maybe a team diff. Either way, we'll see. We're going to have our GPCs up very soon, but Sheer, I think we're forgetting something.
True, wait. Didn't we have a college team applying?
Yeah, something about a university team. Oh, yeah, there was a Ithaca College applied, right?
Yes, indeed. So let's present Ithaca College here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go over Ithaca College right now. They're an Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold competitive series team that applied to our league. Dewey Sports' first ever university team. Let's take a look at their lineup right here super quickly. Wait, hold up.
Wait, hold up. There's 4 plat players in here.
What's going on here, Sheer? I think we might have a new challenger approaching. What's going on?
Oof. What's going on is that we're going to take a small break and come back with the GPCS lineups.